really I wanted to ask you, when you're talking about the G2G, and you know some of these countries that yes, we have contractual agreement on the G2G in the Middle East, then how sustainable is the G2G? If the installations, first of all, you know, they're hitting where it really hurts the most, where we really feel the pain.
Yeah.
And if it takes 5 years to make a full, you know, recovery of the installations, how big a threat is it for the G2G agreement?
The only reason why we are a bit positive about G2G is that we are not buying crude. If we were buying crude, it has to come from the Gulf. And those countries would have declared force majeure and said, no, we are not able to deliver. Luckily, we are buying refined products. So what they are saying is that they can get it from India, they can get it from Europe, or they can get it from any of these other countries which have refineries. That's the only reason why our government is saying, no, there's no risk, and they're trying to sit pretty. But, you know, even that is subject to those countries getting crude, ultimately. So if the war goes on and the situation becomes worse, then the entire supply chain globally gets affected. Then even you are getting refined from some of these countries will become, and anybody who has these contracts can easily say, look, we are not able to deliver because of this external circumstance. So I think government needs to not just procure under the current G2G, but I think we should also think of how to show up more reserves if it's possible now. I think those are the areas. That's why I agree with what Makali says, that we need to review our priorities in our expenditures.
But in terms of infrastructure, do we have, if I may come to we'll come to you.
I just wanted to put in a little comment about, you remember during the COVID times?
Yes.
Do you remember the famous Mutahi Kagwe's statement?
If you treat it abnormally,
normally, it will treat you abnormally.
Yes.
I think this is what we should embrace. It's not time to just treat everything normally. It's an abnormal situation. We must act within that, just what Bilo has said.
I had just Bilo also mentioning the force majeure, and I was conflicted a bit, just wondering, an act of war, is it, or the war itself, is it an act of God that it should be a force majeure? I don't know why.
If I can't, I can't.
No, you know,
unforeseeable, because it's an act of man, truly. Yes.
You know, when you get to a contractual agreement,
yeah,
you don't factor in external shocks, as we call them.
You don't factor in, yes.
So what has happened is something which is external. You have no control on what is happening out there, but it really backed on the economy negatively. And I think there are two things we need to do almost like immediately as a country. One of them might be a bit a long term, because when you say improve our reserves, just as we have main strategic reserves, where you have the cereal, boards and the stock. I don't think we have that capacity to stock oil for 6 to 7 months. So what has been happening is that through the way we buy our petrol and all that, is that you plan in a way that you have some days you are safe. And by the time you are running out of stock, then you have more stock coming in from outside. But remember, we have also been having what we call the fuel stabilization fund, where we have been putting some resources aside so that when things like this happen,
it can buffer.
Instead of the cost being pushed to the consumer, then the government comes in to take up the difference and pay the suppliers. And to me, I think that's a short-term solution we have now. Because so said and done, I think at the end of the day, we might not want to say it now, but I think there is a likelihood of price increases. And not far in the almost within a short term, exactly
within the next 8 days.
Price increase. And why?
Yes.
Because if you watch what has happened today, as a result of the messaging, we are getting to panic buying and panic selling. Don't be surprised, some suppliers might see an opportunity to make more profit, and then they hold the product so that it's not available. But I like what my colleague here is saying, that if I have 5 cars, I push them to the petrol station, I fuel up them, and I get mitungis also to store. Now, what will happen is, that is now panic buying. And what will happen, we are going to create artificial shortage. So that as a result of that, then, we will get now to black market, where you are told if you want petrol, buy instead of 120, buy at 150, and they'll get it from the funny places and give you the petrol. So these are the things we need to manage as an economy. And I think anytime I look at the CS energy, it needs to reassure Kenyans that even though we have no reserves, reassure Kenyans that we'll use Kenyan money to stabilize the market through the fuel stabilization fund. And that money, even if it's not in the budget, they can use 223, Article 223 of the Constitution, to cushion Kenyans, and later they will come to Parliament for regularization. I don't think any member of Parliament will be blind to the fact that we are facing challenges and there is need to regularize such an expenditure if it is incurred by the government. So this is the outside the box thinking, so that we don't cause problems. Because like Bilo says, this country, when you look at what drives it, the energy source is actually
key.
Is key.
Yeah.
Currently, even before the problem, we have. If you ask Bilo, they will tell you one of the challenges the industry sector is facing is high cost of production, even without this problem.
Yeah, indeed.
So you can imagine this no problem coming into play, it will make it worse. So we need to assure our manufacturers that the government will be able to take up that extra cost so that you remain where you are and you can continue producing for the country. Otherwise, they will stop producing. Now you cause another price in terms of shortage of other goods. And then it becomes a cycle. And it will be very difficult to get out of that cycle.
Right. We thought there is a bit of a relief that they were coming to the negotiating